It was that.
Alright. My first question for everybody is, what's the difference between the industry 5 years ago and the industry the way it is today?
The money.
Also,
Basically, oh, no, go ahead.
Go ahead. No. You'll probably explain it better than I will.
Mr. Johnson did.
Okay, basically, the major difference, and not to be confused with me using the word major as in major labels. The major difference is the major labels, they basically have dissipated. So you're better off by doing things independently. Because of the viral world that we have nowadays, the major labels who had been pre-warned that this was going to happen, and they made no advance planning for it. Records and anything that's a music media, whether it's a CD, a DAT, MP3, or whatever we call all that records, they're just not selling anymore, people. People do not go into retail stores and buy records anymore. Most people are getting their records through digital downloads or through being passed out stuff at events like this, and then from there it's almost crazy out there in the world. The biggest difference is the sales plateau. I know many veteran artists of various genres of rock, R&B, hip-hop, and what have you. They're not selling records anymore. They don't get royalty checks every quarter anymore from mechanical sales. That's why you see a lot of people like Grand Central Station and some of the old school rappers like Houdini and what have you out on the road touring now, because that's the only way they can make money. So what you have to do is step up your game as an artist and learn various ways that you can make money through this music industry. And the first thing you need to do is have a brand for your act. Your brand is what sells, and you've got to promote yourself, because there are not these multi-million-dollar major label deals anymore that are going to put you in a Mercedes and a fine house. It is not out there anymore. You've got to sell yourself. That's what's changed in 5 years.
All niggas need to listen.
I'd also like to, throw something else in. As distributor for One Stop, the one thing that I have noticed that's a really big change is that most of the independent distributors are gone. So in the meantime, you were relying totally on the major labels who weren't selling records. But now it's much easier for you to become a business person, and I say person because there are men and women that run these labels, independent labels. You can become your own business person, as I'm quite sure Gorilla Zone's company is now independent, where all the money's coming to him. They cut out the middleman, and the middleman being that distributor, okay? Now, me, as working for a distributor, I saw that a lot of black music was not moving. They didn't know what the hell rap was when it came out. I listened to that, and watched the sales not going. So I took it upon myself to get with people like DJ Chicago, who's making the hottest mixes, Mellow Mix in Indianapolis, DJs from all over Nashville. And, unfortunately, we didn't have DJs in Cincinnati that were actually doing mixtapes. They would blend the record or make a compilation, but to actually mix the record that kept you going for a whole 80 minutes. I found those DJs that I felt was rocking the place. And so I helped them get distribution. But now, my main goal is to help you as an independent person to get your LLC, get your business established, get you registered, and to get your money coming directly to your home. Not to Judy Jones where I get a cut of. You're going to pay me up front. Okay? I'm going to get you paid up front. I don't have to get paid on the back end. But basically, I'll set you up and I'm going to teach you how to do this yourself. That's one thing that I feel people don't want, is to learn anything.
Okay, well, with that being said, not to cut you off.
That's okay, that's okay.
Okay, it's a lot of artists in the room today that I see. So, with Great Cash, you being here from Cleveland, so, you from Atlanta, another different place. So, how do y'all feel about the industry from 5 years ago to today? Y'all being in the front, artists.
I got it. think she put it the best. It's like the middleman is cut out. You know what I'm saying? Like when I first came out, you had the deal and you had the marketing and all the other bullshit that went along with it. Like right now, it's you have to do it. You have to market yourself. You got to promote yourself. And like being from Cleveland, just you know what I'm saying, the whole Midwest area. I just think, and I always say this, I think at the end of the day, for the artist, at the end of the day, it still boils down to the music.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If you look at it, yeah, you gotta have the marketing, gotta have the promotion, but then you see people get mad when they say, damn, so-and-so popped up, but he only got one song. So-and-so got good music. You know what I'm saying? So that's a big part of it, but like she said, like right now, you just gotta sell yourself, and it's about you. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and it's even better because you can do what you want to do. You ain't got to sit there and argue with nobody about how you want to be marketed or be promoted or about your image or nothing like that. You can do you and let people accept you for you. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I think a lot of people that succeed now, people accepting them for them. Because if you look at it, it ain't a lot of Ice Cubes and Scarface and people like that no more. You know what I'm saying? Like it's all types of people that's being able to rap now. You know what I'm saying? Because people are being accepted for who they are. Because you got to sell yourself. So as long as you got good music, at the end of the day, I think you'll be straight. Just do you.
How about you, Zoe? You feel the same way?
I hate to answer questions with questions, but it's a big question. You ain't got to answer it. Answer it to yourself in your own mind. What do you want? Because you only get one or the other when you first get in the game. Do you want fame or do you want money? After you answer that question, and there's two ways you can answer the question that you asked. And I would say, if you want money, eventually you can create your own fame with money. If you want fame, hopefully you swagged up and got enough charisma to create money out of your fame. As far as help, it's never changed. No one is going to help somebody that doesn't know how to help themselves.
Amen.
I'm not going to invest a dime in something I don't think I'm going to make 20 cents back off of. Go out here, whatever you want, money or fame, or both, find out the first step you gotta make to get to where you're gonna go, and then invest everything you got into that. So if you wanna be famous, spend all your money on looking good and being everywhere you're supposed to be. If you want money, spend all your money in places that you know you're gonna make more money back in. Some of y'all don't need to rap, sing, manage, or none of that. You probably just need to take your money and invest it in a business. Some of y'all don't need to take your money and invest it in the music. You just need to buy a nice car, a bunch of jewelry, some nice clothes, and be at all the VIPs and get some endorsements. Because people invest in things that look good. But ain't nothing changed, man. Spend everything you got, whether it's time or money, on what you believe in to take the first step to get to the next step.
Okay, so this next question is for Miss Janie. This seems like a branding situation. So speak on about branding and then the pros and cons of being independent and actually going major.
First of all, understanding that when you begin working on your brand, you first have to set your image. You've got to decide. Don't let everybody else decide who or what you are. You need to go in, you need to make the decision of what your direction is going to be. Don't throw a bunch of stuff out there just to see what sticks. You need to take your artistry, you need to take your creativity, you need to take your sound and create it and build on it and create an avenue for you. I just taught a class at MIW in Chicago, Music Industry Workshop, and it was actually about marketing. And somebody made a comment that, when you market, you don't want to market to the normal folks, to the community. You want to market outside of the community. No, you want to create a brand and a sound and an image that stands out in the community, that makes you stand out. Be it if you're somebody who puts on purple and orange and sits on the floor and spins on your head. in the middle of everybody, you're gonna stand out because you're not matching and you're doing something different. If you're gonna rap, we literally have 10,000, 15,000 rappers putting out singles every single year on iTunes, on Amazon, so on and so forth. What makes you different? What makes you stand out? And if you come to me and say, I don't know what that is, then go back to the drawing board and don't spend a dime on it until you know what it is. Because Miss Judy and I cannot do anything for you until you know who you are. Once you know who you are, then you can take your image and begin to brand it. Take the time to create your logo. Judy just was asking me, Twista's getting ready to do something with Bala Status. We have a logo that was trademarked, not copywritten, trademarked years ago. And we know it's Twista when we see that font. We're going into 20 years of Twista. Everything we put out, the brand goes continuously. Now everything that Twista does, GMG Entertainment comes right behind it. The Get Money Gang is right behind it. Just because Twista's there, we make sure we go with him automatically. Many people don't know that during the days, and Judy and I can go back to this, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, Twista was involved with a label by the name of Legit Ballin'.
Yeah.
They did 450,000 units independently. That's basically probably 5 times what Cash Money ever did independently before they went to Universal on 9 records. Right here in the Midwest. They created a brand, they created a movement. Twista is known in the Midwest. We're bringing Get Money Gang right behind it. We're using a brand to introduce another brand. That brand must make money for us. You must find opportunities. You must find businesses that you can do individual deals with. Because today, when you go to a major, and again, I'm like Judy, I don't like majors. Fuck majors. They want 360 deals, they want your money, they want a piece of everything, but they really don't want to put the work behind you. I'm just that way. To hell with them. But we have to do like they've been doing in Europe for years. You have to go in and find businesses to do sponsorship and opportunities and endorsement situations with. You're going to see Twista on Baller's Choice. You're going to see Twista and Traxta on the new Cricket Move with the new Android phone. You're going to see more and more artists doing more and more sponsorship deals because they're not getting the marketing dollars they need from a major label. So you have to do that. Even if you do it with Sam's chicken shop down the street. If he gives you $250, take that $250 and go get yourself some business cards with their logo on the back and hand them out to drive them to your website.
So it's kind of like getting the sponsorship through what's available to you.
Start with what's around the corner. Go around the corner, then go down the block, then go within the downtown area, then go to the county, go to the region, go to multi-region, and then go national. And it's not going to happen overnight.
But you're helping them with their brand to push your brand also.
Exactly, and you're gonna if you have a street team out there handing out your flyers with their logos on it, with maybe a coupon on the back of your card to drive people, they don't have to pay a street team to hand out the cards because you're handing them out. It's a trade-off. Do not be afraid to put your businesses together. That's what's different. We don't have 8,000 retailers anymore that you can go put your product into consignment. We now have to go ahead and we have to get direct to the consumer. And these are some of the ways.
Okay, Battlecat, how do you feel about everything that's being said right now?
So I want to make a fool of myself. I definitely agree. I come from the first days of when that budget was $500,000 or more for rap. And to see it change drastically and not paying attention and keeping your ears to the streets and bottom line, to understand that education never stops. A lot of people get bored and complacent with themselves and want to blame the next one for why things are not like they are. Well, guess what? You know the reality of that. If that doesn't buy you into this industry being that way, then you need to let go of that train of thought. So I brought something to the table that I feel that can really help folks out too. And this is a book called All You Need to Know About the Music Business.
Yep.
Revised and updated by Donald Passman.
Yeah.
7th edition. Now what I like about this book, to not say too much on it, is that it's no way you can lose by reading and understanding, especially with someone that believes in what you're into. Whether it's your brother, sister, like my man was saying earlier, everybody cannot rap, everybody cannot produce. So whatever that their gift is, especially with someone that you love, that know you and was raised around you and understand your ambitions, why not engage this book with them so they can make sure that you won't straddle the fence and making decisions that will hinder you from even getting to the platform or where we're at. And this is it right here. I bought the book out here actually in the mall, real local, you know what I'm saying? So I am blessed to be a part of such a camp, because I plan, even from me being who I am, I plan to be instrumental with the people on this panel, because that's how you can bridge the gap and break down the doors. And someone of my status, you would think, okay, where's he? We know what the West Coast is, but we're doing miraculous things behind closed doors. And me being here is representing something of that whole expression that I'm sharing with you guys. So get this book along with what's been shared with you on this panel. You can't lose. That's all I can really say.
Awesome. Reading is fundamental. You got something to say, so?
More sugar, baby.
I understand what I can agree with what y'all was saying, but you know what I'm saying, like, I gotta keep it real. I personally don't know nobody personally that come from my hood or nowhere that I know that went did everything they self and got rich. Most of y'all ain't, I mean, for real, because I ain't had no whole hell of a lot of money. I was selling sacks of weed, CDs, I was doing retail. I got a deal. I got a deal by getting my block hot, the blocks outside of my blocks, in my city. And from my city, niggas fuck with me, and I got a deal and did what I did. I know at least 5 motherfuckers personally that I know are rich now. That I know when I first started and before we first started, them niggas didn't have a goddamn dime, and they got it off of major labels.
And that's kind of my point for the question of pros and cons versus, you know, because it's like everybody say go independent, but at the end of the day you have to have a budget to go independent. And these people, like these white people, got a lot of money.
I'm telling you the truth.
You know what I mean?
I can, y'all want to start naming motherfuckers? I got a little nigga I just damn near raised his ass out of here. Sonny Digital, he finna be the nigga millionaire. He out of here, gone. Fucking with Rico managed him, you know what I'm saying? But we went and got a nigga deal. Nigga out of here, you know what I'm saying? Like, YC, you go back and look at YC, nigga, YC was in Block Boys. YC didn't want to do the deal with me, but he ended up doing his own thing, and when he did a deal, he get money. He might not, you know, whatever the fuck, you know what I'm saying? I don't know no niggas that selling CDs out the trunk, got a label, out of hustling or, you know what I'm saying? That shit ain't them days no more.
Word. What you guys say, Mr. Johns?
Basically, I think that Gorilla's on to a point. I don't agree totally with Judy and Janie with their F-bomb of the majors. I think the majors have used artists and producers and songwriters for a long time, and I think it's time we get a little payback and we use them. For those that do have budgets and are willing to still sign up talent, you can take their money. But what you need to recognize as an artist is that upfront money may be the only money that you ever see from the major label. And what you do with that upfront money can lead to some of the things that he's talking about. Because you see, the way you make money in this music business as an artist is first of all being a songwriter, having your own publishing company, and performing for paid dates. Record company does not pay you for dates. They're going to try to take your publishing, and the only check they ever want to cut for you is the back end of your recording budget fund. That you can trust and believe.
That you definitely got to fight for that. You definitely got to put a lawyer in there to get you back here.
What you need to do is make sure that you have a great entertainment lawyer, or you have a
One second. If anybody got a question, come to the side and I'll ask them for it. Go ahead.
or have a wonderful veteran like me who kept Babyface from signing a take your balls type deal one time. He was dealing with a scoundrel at a major label who had offered him $5,000 for him to sell 50% of his publishing. Another individual took that deal. Babyface faxed those papers to me. I was no longer his legal manager, I was just his advisor, so I used to manage him. And I said, Kenny, if you sign this paper, I'm gonna kick your ass. Do you realize that with all that fabulous catalog of hit records that you write, this man is taking 50% of everything and only giving you $5,000? Are you crazy? Babyface has not seen a publishing check for as low as $5,000 in his whole damn life. His publishing checks are 6 figures and sometimes 7 figures because I advised him not to do that kind of thing. Do not sell your publishing. So before we can even talk about selling your publishing, how many of you belong to BMI or ASCAP? Let me hear some applause if you do.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's see how many of you are going to stand up and be correct. How many of you don't belong to a performing rights society? Let me see your hands.
Make some noise.
It's all good.
I see you're scared. You got to handle your business. And another thing you guys have got to do, stop being like everybody else. The crabs in the bucket syndrome has ruined urban music. Everything sounds alike, looks alike, tastes alike, feels alike. That's why it's bumping each other out. There are 20,000 underground rappers doing the same thing. And what makes you think your crap is the best?
Well, can you explain exactly for the people who's not familiar with ASCAP and I say exactly what it is?
They're performing rights societies. They collect money from jukeboxes, digital channels, cable channels, satellite channels, regular radio, internet radio, movie theaters, anything like that where your music plays, you get paid on it. I live, people, because I have been a writer on 2 of the biggest songs in the history of black music. 2 occasions by The Deal and Babyface and Slow Jam by Midnight Star. My royalty checks sustain me, and that's why I need to lose 20 pounds, because those tunes get unbelievable airplay. I've won so many BMI awards for those tunes. Well, some of you in here don't even belong to a performing rights society, so you're missing out on your checks. And the man is loving that, because we're not getting mechanical royalty checks worth a darn anymore because records aren't selling. So if you don't belong to BMI, I'm a BMI guy. I can't represent ASCAP's interest, that's against the law. But if anybody needs to get joined up with BMI as a songwriter and get your publishing company started, that's what I do as part of my entertainment consulting. If you're getting songs that are out there in any of the ways in which I said that can make you money, I can make sure that you get a check cut.
So Miss Janie, like when we were talking in the back, you were saying how that it all comes down to black and white in the paperwork. So if you go like to BMI or ASCAP, like that's like the first place you start, no matter how big you go or how, you know, if you're doing independent, if you register with them first, that's like the first place where the money comes from. It's like the first register.
The first thing you do in regards to your black and white is sit down and make sure your production agreements and your split sheets are done. You can't do anything, you can't register your records with ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, or Sound Exchange until you know who owns what on the record, and then it has to be turned into the Copyright Office, which is copyright.gov.
What's a split sheet?
A split sheet, actually, Battlecat? He hasn't spoken, so we're gonna put it over here.
No, she's on the right page. I learned a whole lot about split sheets, especially having a slew of hit records, and then when it's time to find out who to pay who, they don't know who. You just can't use the name. They need real documentation that are really secure who the money go to, especially dealing with publishing. So I don't want to say too much on that, but that's so true. In the book, like I said, I have that I showed you guys is something that would definitely keep you on that track to, just for the basics,
Buy his book.
man, buy that book.
How much is
I
the book?
gotta say this on that about people.
$32.
$32.
About the splits.
Not a lot of money.
Most of these CDs that people are passing out here, and most of the confabs that I go to, you see sometimes good graphics, and I'm not necessarily saying this is good or bad, I'm just holding it up as an example. You see graphics, and then you see somebody wrote on it with a felt marker, and then what you don't see, if you were to give this to a DJ to play it, you don't see who the writers are, you don't see who the publishers are. So guess what? That's not being logged with BMI, ASCAP, CSAC, Sound Exchange, or what have you. So therefore, nobody's making any dollars off of it because they didn't take care of their business like Janie said.
Liner notes. Those are key. But going back to what you need to do to protect yourself first, black and white equals green. It's making sure that your paperwork is in line, making sure that you define who the owners of the records are, okay? It's very, very important. Girl Zoe just said to me, plain and simple, if a record gets hot and you have not defined who owns what, you're screwed, because you're going to start fighting over it, and then nobody's going to get paid for years and years and years. So I'm going to give you a quick breakdown. A record equals 100%. And I'm not going to break down the publisher side and the writer-composer side. I'm just going to do 100% record. The easiest way to do it when you're on an independent level, okay? Composer and or producer, 50%. Writers, depending on if it's 2 verses or 3 verses and a hook, or 2 verses, a hook, and a bridge. Some people are going to say your hook deserves more of a percentage, which might be 15 to 20%. Or I do it plain and simple. If you're an unknown artist and I don't know who the hell you are, and you're just getting started, and I have 3 verses and a hook, it's going to be 12.5%, 12.5%, 12.5%, 12.5%. That equals 50%. Do this when you're in the studio. Take the time. It's 1 sheet. And if you go to in the lab. If you go to MidwestLeak.com, I've given her my basic split sheet, and you can print it out. Now, if you get that split sheet done, now you can go back and knock out your producer agreements. And I'm not going to get sticky with that because there's many different ways to do producer agreements. But make sure your black and white's in order, because when you go to ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, or Sound Exchange, and you register your records, you have to put what percentage you owned, so that way they know how much to pay you. And trust me, if I tell Battlecat, look, I put it in, but you only get 30% on XYZ artist, he's gonna say, my attorney's calling you. I'm getting a minimum, usually maybe 50 to 70%, because my artist ain't nobody, but he's somebody. And the thing is when I present that particular single at radio, and I do like Sid said, and I put the writers and the composers, producers on the records, they're gonna say, wait a minute, this is Battlecat, I know what his sound is. Let me throw this in and check it out. Your producers are important when you don't know who you are. So make sure your black and white's in order. And I mean, all this information again is on industryworks.org, all the packages are there, but please get your black and white in order, because it's, honestly, I'm gonna be frank about it, it's gonna fuck you in the future. It's not gonna screw you, it's gonna straight fuck you and run with it, because you don't have control. You have no control over it, and if your copyright's not done, somebody's gonna slide in and grab it. I remember for the longest time, DJ Screw out of Houston. Nobody had DJ Screw's name trademarked. Nobody had DJ Screw's label registered. And there was a fight that came up on who was gonna get it. The lawyers had to get involved.
After he died?
After he died. Okay? So get your paperwork in order.
Okay, so Ray Cash, not to put you on blast, but being as though you are from Cleveland and we're in Cleveland, with everything that's being on, all this knowledge that's being dropped, how do you feel about